Hi, we're the Americans. Welcome to the Blues Kitchen.
The Americans write and perform original contemporary rock and roll with its roots deep in traditional American music. Last year, the band worked closely with Jack White, Robert Redford and T-Bone Burnett on the groundbreaking American epic television series, backing the likes of Taj Mahal, Pokey LaFarge and Nas. We sit down to discuss their recent album, I'll Be Yours, and the band perform a stunning version of Otis Jackson's Tell Me Why You Like Roosevelt. The Americans, welcome to the Blues Kitchen. How you doing?
Good, man.
Very well.
Feeling fresh?
Yeah, fresh as we can be.
We saw you guys at the AMAs last night. Cracking show.
Thanks.
You have a good time?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So your album was out on Loose Records last year.
Yes.
Where did you record it? Who did you record it with? Was it fun? Was it an easy process? Was it agonising?
I would certainly not call it fun. I think if it's fun, something's probably not going right.
That's interesting.
But we did it at this little studio up in Northern California in sort of rural wine country. It's called Prairie Sun. It got great old analog boards, and we got paired up with an engineer we never worked with before, and he wound up just being terrific, like a great fit for us. And a really talented guy, and so a lot of credit goes to him, for the way it ended up sounding.
So it's not very often that we sit down with musicians that I think perhaps have the knowledge of music that you guys do, and I've certainly never sat down with musicians that actually lecture on the history of traditional American music. How did you get into that? Was it through a degree or schooling yourself, or is it just a passion and being the go-to guys for that? I mean,
it's actually how we all met
okay.
Originally. So it's sort of the other way around. We all got together originally because we were all learning a lot about that music and how to play it in a way that we felt was authentic. And so when we all met up, I guess we all kind of, I knew I wanted to be in a band with these guys, and I just sort of wondered what would happen, if you make a rock band but with guys that like really play old blues the way, it used to be played.
For you guys, you specialise in certain areas. Is one of you the Robert Johnson guy, one the Tommy Johnson guy, someone the W.C. Handy guy? I mean, do you have geographical areas of expertise? If we were going to do a mastermind with you, what would be your specialist old-time traditional subjects?
Not so much that we pointed to each other and said, you get into this, but...
I would say early on, the only thing I was interested in was country blues.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the most accessible to most people. It was the most futuristic of those genres of music at the time, and so I think it resonates the most still. And that's the reason so many bands in the 60s and 50s gravitated toward that stuff. So that was what I was interested in. And then in high school, Jake was getting into all this old country and folk music, and it took me a long time to appreciate it. I kept sort of saying, I don't want to listen to this music. It sounded, corny to me. It was kind of an interesting lesson in the fact that you have to grow into things and learn to bend your ear around things to appreciate. And then Zach plays the most instruments and probably plays them all the best.
I thought you were being quite modest when we had a chat a moment ago about what instruments you played. You only mentioned a couple, really. I think there's probably a few more, right? Hidden away.
A couple more. I guess mostly kind of banjo, guitar, mandolin, and fiddle a little bit as well.
Still being a bit modest? Can you add a few more to that list?
That's really mainly it. The banjo was kind of the first thing I really got into pretty serious when I was a kid. My dad plays the banjo as well. And
I'm really interested to know what your individual entry points were to, you said that it was country blues stuff and you were more into country and folk stuff, but was there a defining record for each of you, a defining artist that was like, right, I'm in?
Blind Willie Johnson for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's complete recordings.
Can we throw that question down the line, like a panel?
Yeah, I guess for the banjo, probably when I was a kid, like Earl Scruggs,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
I'm sorry, I have to split into two because I got them at the same time. It was Dylan's first record.
Yeah.
And then the Anthology of American Folk Music that Harry Smith put out. Yeah.
So we can't let this interview kind of pass us by without chatting a little bit about your involvement with American Epic, the Robert Redford, Jack White, T-Bone Burnett produced, anthology really, isn't it? Kind of documentary or anthology. How did that fall in your laps?
We've been playing down at this bar in downtown Los Angeles. It's called the Redwood, and the fellow who used to book us there now runs a Texas barbecue shop here in London.
Texas Joe?
Yeah, Texas Joe.
Right, okay.
So he was booking us there, and at the time, I don't know that it's still this way, but at the time it was kind of a place where you'd see a lot of younger guys playing old-time music. That kind of sort of a scene there. And so a friend of ours, a record collector, had been working with some of the filmmakers on securing the shellac for all these old pressings and everything to try to get the best possible transfers for the documentary. And he was looking for a band that could play old stuff. And so he brought him to the Redwood and saw us there. The first time we met properly, he showed up with a binder, and he put it between us, and it just sat there for a lot of time we were talking. And then, because he was telling us he was interested, and you live in LA, a lot of people talking about their movies. It wasn't like...
Of course. Not unusual.
Exactly, yeah. But he opened the binder up, and page after page were original photographs, prints, of my musical heroes that I had never seen before.
Wow.
That he had spent the last 10 years collecting. And I thought all
Where
that
he got them from?
I thought all that was done. You know, I thought enough blues documentaries had been made, and he had a great eye for those things. So I was looking at, young Skip James, young Son House holding a parasol for his wife. I mean, all this incredible stuff. So instantly I wanted to work on it. And we came in as kind of like the house band and helped out here and there, providing instruments.
So can you do a bit of name dropping? Who were you playing with?
Well, we were on Pokey LaFarge's thing. We played with Pokey LaFarge and Anna Gabrielle.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
You were with Taj Mahal.
I played with Taj Mahal.
I got to work with Nas.
Yeah,
Really?
with Nas.
I'm the...
That's amazing.
He's Nas's jug player.
Yeah.
There you go.
Everybody told me the jug would bring me nowhere. Let's go out to the world. You can do something with your jug.
So good. You're going to indulge us in a moment. You're going to perform this cover for us. Now, with you guys, more than anyone I think we've spoken to so far, I think we've done about 15 or 20 of these films. And you lecture traditional music. You play traditional music. So why on earth did you pick Tell Me Why You Like Roosevelt? I mean, you could have picked anything from this huge catalogue. And I'm not saying that because I'm giving the song a hard time. But what is it about that tune that spoke to you? Like, okay, right, we're going to do this tune.
Yeah, well, there's a lot about it. I mean, first it might be like the most, the best kept secret in a decade or something. In that era. I mean, it's like it's actually kind of a hangover from a previous era. It was recorded in the mid '40s, and it comes from that era that dates back to like the turn of the last century, when people were writing a lot of sheet music and songs, not to record but to distribute. Yeah. And it was like a booming market. So you'd look for inspiration anywhere, and just like tabloids, you'd try to sell on current events. So the Titanic sank. That's how we got all these songs about the Titanic, because everyone was penning them. You could learn stuff from them in a way. They're almost like, and this is one of those songs. And it's not a blues actually. Even it's like a spiritual group that was doing that kind of Golden Gate Quartet style, where you get 4 a cappella singers and it's very like chugging along. It's really proto hip hop. Some of that stuff. If you listen to some of those early recordings, like really fast language and really intricate
Preparing
rhymes.
you for working with Nas, eh?
Yeah, exactly. That was my assignment, was to find Nas songs that sounded like hip hop. And I already had a playlist because like proto hip hop. But it's an incredible work of writing, and it's sort of like a historical lesson, the song, and all of it's accurate. And it's just incredible history.
Well, I think on that, it's probably time for some music.
All right, let's play.
Yeah.
If you'd like to introduce your tune.
All right, we're going to be playing Otis Jackson and the Evangelist Singers song, Tell Me Why You Like Roosevelt. Tell me why you like Roosevelt. We're no kin. Why you like Roosevelt? We're no kin. Why you like Roosevelt? We're no kin. Lord God Almighty, he was a poor man's friend in the year of 1945. A good president laid down and died. I knew how all the poor people felt. They received a message, we lost Roosevelt. Well, in his lifetime was all indication. In Warm Springs, Georgia, he received salvation. Now listen, friend, don't you rush. Elizabeth Shumatov grabbed a brush, she dipped it in water and began to paint. In fact, the president began to feel faint. She never painted a picture for him at night. Knew that the president didn't look right. The time of day was 12 o'clock. Tell me that Elizabeth had to stop. Well, great God Almighty, she started too late. That is why they call it the unfinished portrait. Well, a little bit later, about 1:30, had a cerebral hemorrhage. The world looked muddy. They called Atlanta, Washington too, like a zigzag lightning. The calls went through. Called long distance just to notify his wife. Dr. Bruin said he died at 3:35. Well, great God Almighty, won no bells to tone. Less than 30 minutes and the world was in mourn. And I cried about a Roosevelt. I cried about a Roosevelt. I cried about a Roosevelt. Lord God Almighty was a poor man's friend. The only two presidents he ever felt were Abraham Lincoln and Roosevelt. You recall way back in the olden days, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves when Hoover's administration assembled. All of the poor folk began to tremble. The rich would ride in the automobile. Depression made poor people rob and steal. But look next door to our beloved neighbor, wasn't getting anything for his hard labor. But great God Almighty, they were moonshine stealing. Brought about a crime wave, robbing and killing. After Hoover made the poor man moan, it was Roosevelt stepped in and gave us a home. That was why I like a Roosevelt. That is why I like a Roosevelt. That is why I like a Roosevelt. Assembled, first appointment in history of a Negro general. General Davis, I'm proud to relate, the first Negro general of the United States. And after Dory Miller came and showed his skill, they kept sending him to sea until he got killed. But Roosevelt said, I'll back the attack. Appointed a Negro captain over white and black. This qualified man was Hugh Mulsack. Racial prejudice he tried to rule out, invited Negro leaders into the White House. He advocated fair practice of labor. He let the poor man know he was our emancipator. Made him Madam Bethune, first lady of the land. Left part of his will to Mr. Putty Man. He endorsed inventions by Dr. Washington Carver. That's why I say he was an earthly father, 'cause it took my feet out of the miry clay. Haven't had to look back at the WPA. That is why I like a Roosevelt. That is why I like a Roosevelt. Why I like a Roosevelt. Lord God Almighty was a poor man's friend. Well, God Almighty knew what was best. Knew that the president needed his rest. His battle done fought, victory done won. Our problems have just begun. Your burden get heavy and you don't know what to do. Call on Jesus, he's the president too. It was sad about a Roosevelt. It was sad about a Roosevelt. Sad about a Roosevelt. Lord God Almighty, he was a poor man's friend.